Well, thank you is all I can say. Thank you all very much, and farewell and good luck. And we're adjourned. Tonight, I guess, is the last time that I'll have the opportunity to address the citizens of Newport News as mayor. And if I get through this thing tonight, it'll be a modern miracle. But to my colleagues on city council, city manager, city attorney, city clerk, city staff, many of whom are here tonight, for which I am deeply appreciative, and all the citizens who came and who are listening, I am grateful and appreciative beyond words. 22 years ago, I rather reluctantly agreed to run for city council the first time. I remember as a young boy, 1958 or so, coming to a city council meeting right after the consolidation of Newport News and Warwick. And I sat there for a couple of hours, and for an hour and a half, these grown people sitting up here debated about whether to put a 1-inch or an 1.5-inch water line down some street or another. And I remember thinking to myself, I was in the, I guess, 11th grade, maybe 10th grade. If adults don't have anything better to do with their time than that, there's something really seriously wrong with them. So in 1988, when a group of folks came to see me and tried to persuade me it was my duty to seek public office and run for city council, I looked at them like they had lost their minds, and I said, you know, my mother didn't raise any dumb children, and I have no intention of doing anything like that. And they wouldn't leave the office until at least I gave them some reason to go do something to persuade me to do it. And so I finally talked to Jane Susan, who I was sure was going to say no, and that would be my excuse and way out, but she said yes. And then I went to talk to the law partners, and I'm pretty sure they were going to say no, and they said yes. And so I was sort of stuck, because those were sort of the conditions I laid for considering doing this. At that time, I certainly had no idea that what an incredible journey lay ahead for me. Many folks, including the press, have asked me to talk about what I consider to be the major accomplishments of my years here. And I won't do that. My sense is that's for others to decide, not me. So I come tonight simply with a grateful heart, humbled and honored to have had the opportunity to serve this community for those 22 years, and deeply proud of what all of us together as a community have accomplished. Nothing can compare, I think, to the time I've spent here on City Council. This job has enabled me to meet people, engage with people, learn about things that I never have done any other way or in any other walk of life. The opportunities that I have had to engage in the community and try to make a difference in the lives of ordinary citizens and everybody who is part of this community has been inspirational. It has been rewarding. It has been fulfilling. And it has, as I've said, just been an absolute joy. I know that putting up with me all these years isn't absolutely the most exciting thing one could do in life. And I think Jane Susan can attest that that's not an easy task. But they have made it compelling, and they have made it comfortable in that I knew that I had their support, and they were willing to devote themselves and their energy and their expertise and their professionalism at every level of community service, of people who work for this city year after year after year and give their best. And that doesn't happen everywhere, but it certainly happens here year after year. And I'm deeply indebted to all of you, because you can sit up here and make decisions, and you can participate in countless meetings, but if you don't have the support of the people who make things work, nothing happens. In fact, I'm reminded of the motto up at Fort Eustis, the Transportation Corps. It says, "Nothing happens until something moves." And you can make all kinds of decisions and plans, but until people embrace them, come together, and make a commitment to make those plans work, nothing happens. And we have made, I think, a lot happen. And it's not in small measure to the devotion and the commitment of our city employees. And to all of you, I express my sincere gratitude and appreciation. People have, people have been more than outgoing and generous in their comments, their accolades, talked about accomplishments and achievements. I don't take that terribly seriously, because I'm keenly aware that no one individual accomplishes anything on their own. It's said that it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a community to build a city. And we have here the ingredients of a diverse community with strengths and weaknesses. We have a community of diversity, but we have a community of strong, caring, and committed people. And it's easy to provide leadership when people care. Democracy works best, Thomas Jefferson once said, when the public is involved and dedicated and educated. And much of our community is all of those things. And that's how we in Newport News have accomplished as much as I think we have over the last generation. You know, when I was growing up here, Newport News was 4 square miles, had about 40,000 people, and I think there were about 33,000 people who worked in the shipyard at the time. Maybe more, it was at the beginning of World War II. And as I grew up over the years, I remember the shipyard laying people off when times were bad and rehiring them when times were better, because there were no other job opportunities for those folks. They were dependent on how the shipyard fared and when it needed people and when it didn't. And I realized as a young person that the task before us as a community was try to diversify our economy, to expand our economic base, to create job opportunities for everyone at every economic level in every part of the city. And I understood, as I thought more about that and sort of tried to understand the issues and how you'd go about doing that, that to create good jobs, you had to have an environment, an atmosphere that businesses wanted to come, that they felt like they could succeed in, and that provided their employees an environment in which they wanted to live. in those days, people came to a community for the jobs, and they stayed in the community for the jobs. That's not so true today. People go to places where they want to live and then find jobs that they're satisfied with. So as we began down this long path of trying to transform this community and make it what it is today and prepare it for what it can be in the future, we all together understood that a strong medical community, hospitals, doctors, support staff, and people, strong employment base, good schools, job training, cultural arts, athletic facilities, parks and recreation, libraries, all of those things were the building tools. Those things that enabled a community to transform itself from being dependent on one employer to creating an economic base that would engage people, make them feel at home, give them hope, give them opportunity, give them a sense of peace and comfort that they wanted to make part of their lives. And I think in many ways we have done that. Clearly, in many ways, there's still much to be done. The future, I think, of Newport News is a compelling one. I'm fond of saying that if communities don't move forward, they stagnate, they fall backward, and they die. We've planted many gardens over the years, but as all of you know with respect to your own gardens, if you don't continue to water them, the plants die. In our community, those gardens continue to need nourishment and investment and care and growth. Otherwise, they too will die. So I'm excited about the future of Newport News. I'm excited about what this council and future councils will be able to do based on the foundation that has been laid by many over many years. I'm excited that people who are willing to make a difference become engaged in our community. One of the best things I think about Newport News is, frankly, the people. I often say, when I particularly am at dedications of buildings and groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings and that kind of thing, that buildings don't solve problems. People do. And it's the people that we have who celebrate life in a city, who celebrate the opportunities that are here, who work together to build neighborhoods and businesses and communities that really do make the difference. I was fond of saying years ago that no city can claim greatness unless it has a great university. And so we have supported Christopher Newport, and it has become a great university. And it has brought its own set of opportunities to us. The Ferguson Center, the great graduate programs, the athletic programs, all of the things that make a university what it is benefit the community in which it lives. And so what that leads me to is to say to our citizens that public success requires public engagement. I think there's no greater endeavor than public service. It's not for the weak-hearted. It's not an easy job. But there's nothing more rewarding, more fulfilling, more engaging than the opportunity to help other people live a better life. And I am terribly grateful to the citizens of this community for having given me the opportunity to be part of that. You know, I often think of something that Winston Churchill said, I think during World War II. He said, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." Some time ago, my brother and I were at a historic reenactment up in Williamsburg, and one of the reenactors was doing Thomas Jefferson. And my brother asked the character, "Well, sir, tell me why you didn't have the fact that you were governor of Virginia and president of the United States on your tombstone." And the man, without blinking, said, "I don't know, I'm not dead yet." Now, I have told some young people who believe me that when I went to the University of Virginia, it was the same time Thomas Jefferson was there. But that was probably an exaggeration of a couple of years in any event. But one of the things that Thomas Jefferson did is he had this vision, this principle, that basically said that on a tombstone, you put down those things that you have given, not those things that are required of you. So his belief was that he was required to serve as governor of the Commonwealth, president of the United States, ambassador to France, secretary of state, all of those things that would be monumental in anyone else's life. But what he chose to put on his tombstone was, "Here was buried Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of American Independence, of the Statute of Virginia for Religious Freedom, and father of the University of Virginia." Those things that he had given, not things that were required or expected of him. I think that sort of encapsulates the idea of what's expected of people in terms of public service. And I've been honored to have that opportunity to serve other people for all of these years. And before I close, I want to especially thank Jane Susan, who's here tonight with me. For those of you who know her, and there are a few people in Newport News, I think, who don't, she's certainly been my rock. She stood side by side with me in the storms, and the rainbows, the good days and the bad, although I'm fond of saying there weren't any really bad days. She's been there through the night meetings and the day meetings and the weekend meetings and the holiday meetings and all the other meetings. And I think years ago I ran out of apologies and excuses for missing family engagements and events. But I don't know how to say thank you. But I couldn't have done this without your love and your support, and I'm grateful. So, as we move into the next chapter of our lives, I do so with a sincere sense of peace in knowing that I've always done what I thought was best for this community. I've always tried to have the best interests of our citizens at heart. I believe, as I've said, that the future of this city is incredibly bright. I have great confidence in our new mayor, McKinley Price, and this city council. And I know you will continue to listen to the voices of the citizens, and I know you will do all you can to make this a better place to live and work and raise a family. It has been a great ride. I've enjoyed all of it. It has been just a real pleasure to have had the opportunity to try my best to make a difference. And I wish you all well. I wish the city well. And I wish God's blessing on all that you all do as the years go on. And thank you very much.